Hello, Texas 25.03 interference with child custody. George here, and I'm going to go over a brief explanation of what's the difference between an incident report and an offense report. And depending where you live, depending the jurisdiction, which police department, sheriff, or constable you're dealing with, they may have different terminology as to what an offense report is and what an incident report is. But I'm going to kind of generalize it, and then if you have more questions, you can go ahead and reach out to the group and see if they can maybe help you out and better explain it. So when you show up on scene to go pick up little Johnny, and Johnny's parents, mom or dad, doesn't want to turn little Johnny over, you usually call the cops. And the cops come out and they tell you, well, it's a civil matter. There's nothing we can really do. Okay, that's absolutely false. It's not just a civil matter. Texas Penal Code 25.03 is the statute in which interference with child custody comes from. A violation of the penal code is an offense. It's called an offense. So when you ask for an offense report, you're basically asking the officer to give you an offense report for the violation of the statute. And again, that statute is 25.03, interference with child custody. So you go out and you don't really know what the difference is. Not only do you not know what the difference is, but you don't know what it really looks like. What's an incident report? What's an offense report? What's the difference between both, and what do they both look like? Okay, here's the little tricky, I guess the little tricky part. Okay, so when you go out, they give you one of these. And officers, sometimes they'll tell you, well, you get 3 of these and you go back to court, and they'll spend an hour to try to tell you what the civil process is for getting an enforcement taken care of, right? But why do you need to go to court when you already have perfectly good orders that the other parent is violating? Okay, you just want to have your visitation time. That officer, if that officer doesn't help you, with the offense report or help mitigate the situation, they're actually enabling that other parent to create more abuse towards little Johnny or his little sister. Okay, you have a constitutional right and a state law and a civil law, to help you have a relationship with your child. Okay, so be calm with the police officer and explain to the police officer, hey, look, I have a constitutional right, a state law, and court orders to say that I have a right to be here to see my child. And when you don't act upon it, you're enabling that parent to go on and keep breaking the law without any consequences. Okay, not only is that detrimental to my child, but the court has already deemed what was in the best interest of my child, and the court finds that me being here this weekend is in the best interest of my child. So I'm asking you to please enforce these court orders. I understand you cannot rip my children away from that other parent, but I think using reasonable efforts would be writing an offense report. Okay, so the difference between an offense report and an incident report, again, okay, an incident report is basically just documentation. It's just a piece of paper with a number that doesn't hold any weight. It's not even good on the piece of paper that it's written on. Okay, they may tell you, well, you get 3 of these, you take them to your attorney, and then what your attorney will do is your attorney will write a motion for enforcement, and then they're going to do this, and then they're going to serve that other parent, and then from serving that other parent, they're going to call you into court, and you're going to see the judge. You're going to show them all of these, and then they're going to get some make time. You're going to get some makeup time this, and they're going to might even cut your child support there, and they might turn over and give you custody here, and they're going to tell you everything under the moon. Okay, but that's absolutely false. Okay, an offense report, okay, is an offense for an offense of the statute 25.03, interference with child custody. So they're going to write you a piece of paper. They're going to get a piece of paper. They're going to write some numbers on it. They're going to write their names, and it's going to look something like this, or it may even be a business card. They have all different shapes and sizes. Some of them are bigger, like this, and some of them say type of offense. Some of them say case number, Okay, they may call them case numbers, they may call them offense reports, incident reports. They could call them whatever they want. Okay, but the difference is that an incident report basically just documents. That's it. Just says daddy was here at 6 o'clock and mom didn't turn the child over and Johnny didn't get to see his dad for the weekend. And that's it. That's an incident report. An offense report is basically dad showed up, mom wouldn't turn over the child. Okay, this isn't a gender issue, but I'm just using it in how I'm using it. Okay, one parent showed up and the other parent wouldn't turn over the child, and retention in violation of the court order or judgment is what the definition is for interference with child custody. That other parent retained little Johnny from going and seeing his other parent, whether it be his mom or his dad. Okay, that's the violation of the law. Interference with child custody is retention in violation of a court order or judgment, including temporary orders. Okay, so even if you have temporary orders, that still counts. So it's retention. It's not being late. It's not anything else. Okay, so when the police officer says, well, they were late, and that has nothing to do with it. Retention means to hold back, to keep back. Okay, so the offense is interference with child custody, and the statute is Texas Penal Code Texas Penal Code 25.03. That's the statute that was broken. That's the law that was broken. And it's in the penal code. So again, that's the difference between an offense report and an incident report. They're all going to come on. Initially, they're all going to be written on a piece of paper. You're not going to know what you got. Some of y'all, depending on how long you've been doing this, you can tell by the numbers. Some of them start with numbers, some of them start with letters in the beginning, and some of y'all can tell just the way they're written if it's an offense report or an incident report. Everybody has cameras these days. Everybody has recorders. Even the police wear recorders. So if he's wearing his recorder and he's recording, make sure, sir, is this an offense report? He may tell you, well, it's a report. Okay, sir, is it the best way to explain it is, sir, I want the report that goes to a detective so they can do an investigation. That's the kind of report I want. Okay? Again, depending on which jurisdiction you are in, which police agency you're dealing with, they may call the report something different. Tomato, whatever. Okay? But what you want is the offense report. You want the report that goes to a detective for further investigation. You don't want the report that's just for documentation purposes. You want the report that has a violation of the penal code, the statute 25.03. That's what you want. That is the difference between an incident report and an offense report. So if you go back and you start pulling these records, an incident report is very vague. It's just a piece of paper. It says incident report. It just basically says, hey, showed up on 3/7/2017 at 7:39 a.m. And it doesn't give much information. It's just very vague, okay? So then you might get some other reports that you might do with public information request, and you'll see a status and it'll say incident report, child custody. Just because it says child custody incident report doesn't mean it may look like an offense report, but it isn't. It just says incident report, child custody. So an offense report, when you pull these reports, they're usually available 10 days after the occurrence, right? So when you pull these reports, you'll see a description, violation of the court order, incident status, active. You'll see offense. The offense, what did we say the offense was? Interference with child custody. What did we say the statute was? 25.03. Interference with child custody with the statute 25.03. And then this is an offense report. This offense report then has a narrative in the back where the officer writes what he saw and what he heard that night. This offense report then goes to a detective within the sheriff's office, the police department, or the constable's office, and that investigator does their investigation. When they find out that there has been an offense from there, it goes to the district attorney's office, where it's assigned to a district attorney's investigator. That investigator double checks the investigator on the PD level and the patrolman's interpretation, but the patrolman's record, and make sure that everything is legit, and it's a good, it's a good offense, that the offense that they're writing up is legit, and he's just double checking everything. After the DA's inspector or investigator goes over it and sees that there's been an infraction of the law, they go ahead and give it to the prosecuting attorney, and then they take that to the grand jury, and the grand jury then will decide whether they're going to take charges or not. And so that's the real quick basics on the difference between an incident report and an offense report. So again, if y'all have any issues determining what it is, make sure that you ask that police officer. He's recording. You can record and just say, sir, are you giving me the report that's going to go for a further investigation? Because that's the report I want. Okay, again, you're not doing anything wrong by asking for this report. You have a constitutional right, you have a state law, and you have a court order that says law enforcement may use reasonable efforts to enforce that order. So go ahead. If y'all have any questions, you know where to find us. Feel free to reach on out. If y'all need anything, holler. I hope y'all have a good afternoon, and thanks for watching.